You're listening to the home of cool, irreverent, and entertaining talk right here on LA Talk Radio. You're listening to The Art of Love with your host, Lucia, right here on LA Talk Radio.
The Art of Love. Happy Father's Day to everyone. As usual, I'm coming to you from the 36th floor of a building downtown that actually only has 37 floors. So I am one floor away from the penthouse suite. And I hope you are having a wonderful Sunday so far. Welcome to The Art of Love, where I help you with your dating dilemmas. I answer live calls. If you'd like to call in today, the number is 818-602-4498. That's 818-602-4498. And I also sometimes have authors on of other books discussing, of course, dating, love, and relationships. And I discuss celebrities and their love lives. And today I will finally get to Jennifer Aniston and John Mayer. I've been saying that for the last 3 weeks. Hasn't happened, right? And, of course, I answer emails. I have an email that I will be answering later about a woman who is dating a man in his late 30s, and she is in her 60s. And she wants to know if she is being foolish. And actually, today is the Cougar Show. I guess I should have mentioned that earlier. You're probably thinking, why hasn't she had a Cougar Show sooner? After all, she is a cougar expert. Yes, I am. But I'm also a dating and relationship expert first, and then I specialize in cougar relationships. So I finally thought it was time to do a cougar show, and I will be discussing the 10 reasons to date an older woman. And I came up with those 10 reasons all by myself. Very proud of myself. I can't believe it. I can't believe I came up with those 10 reasons. Originally it was 8, and I'm like, darn, I can't think of 2 more. So I said, okay, it's 8 reasons. And then, luckily, the way creativity works, I just sat it down, and later on in the day, the other 2 reasons popped their little heads up and said, hey, what about us? And I said, oh, yeah, okay, I'll add you to the list. And now it's 10. And I will also be speaking with Todd Merriman, who is the Executive Vice President and the Managing Editor of UrbanCougar.com, where I was the Urban Cougar Woman, no. What is the title? Urban Cougar of the Month. Okay, yeah. In December 2005. I get confused because I keep calling myself Miss Urban Cougar. And that's not a title that they gave. It was actually Urban Cougar of the Month. But, of course, I changed it because that's how I roll. I change things. Okay, so I'm going to start off with something. Celebrity Corner.
Celebrity Corner.
Okay, Jennifer Aniston and John Mayer. She has joined the Cougar Club. She's, I believe, 38, 39. I don't know. I didn't do my research. Sorry. I have a life. I think she's 39, actually. And he's about 27, so it's about 12 years. And lately, just everyone is joining the Cougar Club, and I think that's great. And I also heard recently that she has asked him to give her a baby. I heard that from Mike Walker of the National Enquirer. He didn't tell me personally, but I heard it on the Howard Stern show, actually. And so we'll see if that happens. And I think it's great. You know, she realized younger is better when you're dating. If you're in your late 30s, early 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever. And I actually met her, Jennifer, before she became famous on Friends. I was working out at the same private gym as her, and she wasn't that well known, and I didn't know she was an actress. And we would chat in the dressing room, and You know how some people, you meet them and you get this vibe, especially here in Hollywood, you get this vibe off them where you think, yeah, they're going to be a star, yeah, they're going to go far. Well, I never got that vibe from her. So I was surprised, like, what? The girl in the dressing room? She's on Friends? Okay. But good for her. So we'll see what happens with this Jen Aniston, John Mayer situation and whether they do end up having a baby. Okay. On to the email. On with the show. This is it. Where is the email? Okay, here it is. I'm here all by myself today. I'm so lonely. Okay. You know, doing the Cougar Show, I wanted to have a cub in here to discuss the 10 reasons, and I forgot it was Father's Day last week when I decided to do this show. And so it was difficult to get someone because, well, pretty much everybody has a father. And everyone's busy with their father, or people just, they don't want to be on the radio. They're scared. I don't know why. So I had to do this all by myself. I'm very disappointed in all the cubs out there. Let me tell you. I'm going to have to spank you. I have to discipline you. Okay, let me read this email. I am in my 60s, and I have a male friend who is near 40. He is very upfront about our relationship being just fun. That he hopes to meet someone, marry, and have children someday. So I guess he has not yet done that. He isn't after my money, but he doesn't have any, and I do. I can't read today. Let's start that paragraph again. Okay. He isn't after my money, but he doesn't have any, and I do. So I can afford to fly him up to see me, to buy him gifts, etc. We live about 2,000 miles apart. He is funny, attentive, and sexually very attractive to me. He makes my life exciting. Am I foolish to continue this relationship? Am I pathetic? So this woman had actually written to me a few months earlier, and she wondered if he was after her money. That was the initial worry. And so I said, well, don't give him any. And then we'll see if he's after your money, right? I mean, people always wonder, well, if I have money, I don't know if people are just after my money. Well, don't spend it, and then you'll see if people are after your money. It's really not that difficult, you know? Don't make such a big deal. And so the fact that she's still seeing him, and she says that he's not after her money, I guess she figures he's not. Okay, fine. And so now she's worried that she's being foolish or pathetic. And I don't think, she's having fun from the sounds of it, okay? If he's funny, attentive, sexually very attractive, his life, he makes her life exciting, why would she be foolish to continue this relationship? So I think it's a matter of what society probably has to say about it, and what she's thinking, like, oh, well, an older woman, she shouldn't be spending money on a man and flying him in, and, I should be having a man take care of me, and blah, blah, blah. But those were the good old days, or the bad old days. Things have changed, and women have money now, and so why not spend it? And so, therefore, I believe she's not being pathetic. She's not being foolish, and if she's having fun, keep on doing it, and just know that he does want to move on at some point and get married and have children, and that's fine. So as long as she understands that, then I say enjoy it while you can, and que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. All right. So let me tell you about my week. My friend Bob, he went to see a tarot card reader. And so he asked about me. I don't know why. I guess he's interested. I know he's interested in me, but he knows it's not going to happen. So he asked about me, and here's what she said. She said, you know what you want and are a woman that does not settle for anything less than exactly what pleases you. That's true. That's why I'm not married, okay? I have not yet met Mr. Perfect, and therefore I will not settle like the rest of y'all that are settling. No, he doesn't have to be perfect. He just has to be perfect for me. That's just the way I am most of the time. For me, there's really no gray area. It's black or white. You're either in or you're out. I either have exactly what I want or I don't want anything. And therefore, I haven't met the person that lives up to my specifications. So it's better to not have anyone, right? Or just to have a few temporaries here and there. And then she also said, you are capable of reducing men to tears. And I say, you know what? I'm not reducing anyone to tears. They're reducing themselves. If someone cried over something that I did or my behavior or something I said, it's because my answer was just in response to how they behave. To every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So if they did something that led me to behave in a certain way, that then led them to cry, well, they initiated that action. Do you follow me? I know I'm going very deep today. And I was telling somebody, because two guys cried in front of me. Well, actually more, but two guys cried over me in front of me. How about that? And I was telling someone that, and he said, well, other guys probably cried too. They just didn't let you see it. And this is someone that I broke up with several months ago. So now I'm wondering, did he cry over me when he realized it was over? And I don't know it. The funny thing is, we dated for 3 months, and I broke up with him 2 months ago. And he walked into the gym yesterday. I hadn't seen him since I broke up with him. And my mind is like so in another space. I so don't care. I'm almost like a different person now. And he walked in, and I happened to see him. And for a split second, I couldn't remember who he was. I looked at him, and I'm like, that guy looks familiar. Oh, my God. Yeah, you dated him for 3 months? Oh, right. This reminds me, I was at a restaurant with someone once, and this table sat down. No, the table didn't sit down. People sat down at the table next to us, and the guy with me, he's looking at this girl at the next table. He's like, she looks familiar. And he's like, oh, I got her pregnant once. We've become so casual about things that we forget who we've dated, who we've impregnated, blah, 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 blah. Then I was contacted on MySpace by an NBA player, and I didn't know he was an NBA player because his default picture was, a guy in a basketball jersey holding a basketball. What do you know? But since so many guys do that, you just figure it's just another guy in a jersey wearing a team's shirt carrying a basketball, right? And, I looked at his picture. I wasn't all that impressed. I'm like, not interested. But I kept the email. And then I was going through my old emails. And I'm like, let me go back to this. And I'm looking at his pictures, and I'm like, wow, this guy's really tall. But it still didn't hit me he was a basketball player. I'm just like, yeah, this guy's really tall. And then I was like, wait a minute. Is he a basketball player? So he had his name on his page, his full name. And I looked it up, and yep, he's a professional NBA player. And so the thought did cross my mind, just for a split second, after all, I am human, that, maybe I should respond, just because he's an NBA basketball player. But then I'm like, no, ain't got time for all that. I don't. I'm on a mission, I'm on a path, and I can't waste my time with someone just because they happen to be a basketball player. If I'm not attracted to them, I don't care who you are, I don't care how much money you have, I need to be attracted to you, and otherwise I'm going to keep it moving. And, that's not the first time someone famous wanted to, well, he's not famous, he's just in the NBA. There's a difference. There was the son of, talk about cougar relationships. This guy's like 14 years younger than me. He's the son of a famous Hollywood actor, and he's asked me a couple of times to go out, and I've turned him down. It's like, I'm so not interested. He's so not my type. Too skinny, too short. And he even tried the old casting thing on me. He's like, are you sure you don't do any acting? No, I don't do any acting. It's like, okay, because, I'm doing this movie, and there's a part that would be perfect for you. Really? Are you sure about that? You haven't seen me acting, but you assume there's a part that's perfect for me? So I've turned him down. What can I say? I'm just not interested. And then, unfortunately for the guy, not for me, this was on a cougar website, since this is a cougar show. Wow. This guy had one picture. And this is why you should not just put one picture up of you, okay? Because this is what's going to happen to you. He had just one picture up, and I'm like, okay, not bad, not bad. So I responded, and I'm like, hey, blah, 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 blah. And so he wrote this long email, And so, of course, me being smart about online dating, I'm like, do you have any other pictures you can send me? So he sent the other pictures. And I was like, no, I don't think so. So I didn't want to just disappear and not respond. I'm trying to be nice these days. Trying to be diplomatic. Especially since he's just a cub, and I don't want to, what's the word? Hurt him? Not hurt him. There's another word that's better. I don't want to make him jaded against older women. And so I wrote back, I'm sorry, but I just don't think we're on the same page. This was referring to some stuff that he had said. And I thought he would get the hint and leave it at that, right? And so he writes back this long email. What do you mean not on the same page? I'm willing to be whatever page you want to be on. And he goes, I had an issue before where I sent someone pictures and it turned out badly. Yeah, because your other pictures don't look like your main default picture. So when they see what you really look like, everyone heads for the hills. But how am I supposed to tell him that? Even I don't have the guts to tell him that. I mean, I would, but I figured, do I have to be the one to do that? I can't save everyone. Everyone save yourselves. Okay, let me start my list. 10 reasons to date an older woman. So, of course, the number one reason that most, can never say all, there are no absolutes except in math. Speaking of which, my nephew is a math genius. He really is. He's getting his PhD in math. Blah. And, I said to him, all right, if you're such a genius, why aren't I married? He goes, I don't know. There's too many variables. By the way, variables is a math term, in case you all didn't know. Okay, so confidence. That's what most younger men say they love about an older woman, is that she's so confident. She knows what she wants. She isn't afraid to let you know. She means what she says, and she says what she means. She won't freak out if she doesn't hear from you for a few days. And isn't that wonderful? So I guess younger women aren't confident. I mean, I hear stories all the time about how they behave. I don't hang out amongst a lot of younger women. I'm talking, 25 and under, sometimes even 30 and under. So I'm not really sure what they're up to these days, how they're behaving with guys. I just think back to myself, and I was pretty confident. I was mature. I was ahead of my time. And so that's an appealing quality at any age in anybody, male or female. Everyone wants someone that can be confident and not someone that's going to crumble at the first sign of trouble. And so, of course, older women are confident because we've been through all the BS and we've survived. And the more trials and tribulations you've been through, the more confident you get, because it's like, I've been through all that. I did this, I had a period when there was no money. I had a period when, I'm not saying there was for me. I'm just saying this is what people have been through, so they get more confident. It's funny. I moved back to Italy when I was 21. And, I always managed to make money, et cetera, et cetera. And my mother recently, she said, well, I don't know if there was ever a time when you couldn't afford to eat. And I just laughed. It's like, are you kidding? If you're an attractive woman, trust me, you will always be able to eat. You will always find a meal. You can just walk down the street and go, excuse me, can you take me to dinner? I remember one time I was, how old was I? I don't know, 22. And I needed to get to another part of town, and the subway, I can't remember why I couldn't take the subway. This was in Italy, in Milan. Maybe it was too late. And I needed a taxi, but I don't think I had money on me. Anyways, I needed a taxi. So I'm walking down the street, a taxi goes by, and of course the men there are very friendly, even the taxi driver. So I see him looking at me, and so I turn on the charm and I smile. I'm like, hi. We start talking. I'm like, can you take me to so-and-so? I don't have any money to pay you, though. And he goes, okay, I'll take you, but will you give me your number? I go, sure. So he took me. I gave him my number, but I was never home, so I didn't care. So even at that young age, I was learning how to be manipulative. I was confident. Okay. The next quality, and these are in no particular order. I don't know why I put these in order, but sex. And of course, everyone thinks, it's all about sex. No, it's not all about sex. It's just like with interracial dating, let's say with a white woman, if she dates a black man, everyone automatically thinks, oh, it's just about the sex. He has a big penis. It's just about the sex. It's like, no, it's not just about the sex, because they don't all have big penises. Let me tell you. And, I believe in interracial dating, but I don't believe in interfacial. And you may be asking yourself, what is interfacial dating? And that is when someone is in a different category. I know I'm being crazy right now. Level of attractiveness. If you're a 10, date a 10. If you're a 9, date a 9 or a 10. If you're an 8, date an 8 or a 9, maybe a 7, okay? But I always think it's a bit weird when someone is a 9 and they're dating or married to like a 4, and you go, what the F? The hell's going on here? You see some really attractive guy with a homely woman, and you go, what? Or you see a homely guy with a really attractive woman. Well, in that case, it's probably money. Shame on me, I know. The old stereotype. So, yeah, for some reason it bothers me. Interfacial dating bothers me. That's why I stick to my number. Whatever my number is, I stick to it. If you see me with someone unattractive, something's up. There's something going on, trust me. So the sex. The thing about sex with an older woman is that she doesn't get as emotionally attached as younger women do if she's having sex with you, the younger guy. Yeah, again, we've been through all kinds of sex with different guys by then, hopefully, unless they've been married for 20 years. And, she knows it's not worth getting attached to every guy you have sex with. And we can separate sex from love. It's just sex. It's just friction, as some people call it. Not me, of course. She has a high sex drive because now she is aware of her sexuality. She's learned things that she didn't know before. I used to be terrible in bed. But it wasn't my fault. Trust me, it's not my fault. I was drawn that way. No. You know why? Because when you're attractive, guys are just so happy to be there that they don't even care if you do anything. It's like, okay, you just lay there and I'll take care of business. And so, I would do a few things here and there, of course. But I wasn't, as good as I am now, let's put it that way, because I didn't have to be. And then several years ago, I was having sex with someone, and he's like, you can't just lay there, you got to move. So I started laughing. I thought it was funny. And then I met someone who was very versed in the sexual arts, shall we say. And he taught me everything I needed to know. Everything I know, I owe to him. No, not everything, but a lot of stuff. He made me dangerous. He told me how men think in terms of sexuality, et cetera, et cetera. And now I know what I'm doing. And just as I know what I'm doing, I'm sure there are a lot of older women that have caught on and they know what they're doing. And if you don't, contact me and I'll let you know. I'll let you know where it's at. And older women, yeah, they have a high sex drive, and they're comfortable with their bodies. They know what they're doing, as I just said, and yes, they will rock your world. And if they don't, well, then just find another older woman. What can I say? All right, then number 3 is bling bling money. Hold on, I got to take a sip here. Okay, money. Guess what? She doesn't need yours. Well, if you're a young guy, you probably don't have it anyway. So that's good. You don't have it, and she doesn't need it. She doesn't care how much you make because she's not trying to marry you for the most part. She doesn't care what your earning potential is because she's not trying to marry you. And she doesn't expect you to pay for everything. And, because I hear a lot of young girls, they're interviewing the guys they're going out with. It's like, okay, I got to see if he's good husband material, so I got to know how much he makes, what his plans are, what his goals are, what his earning potential is. And guys can feel it, and they don't want to be looked at as just a walking ATM machine. And older women do not see you as a walking ATM machine or a money tree or whatever they have these days. We really don't care. We'll happily spend our money. We'll pay some of the time. Some will pay all the time, as with the woman in the letter I read previously. And that's very appealing, especially if you're in your 20s and you really don't have a lot of money. You don't have to worry about that because she understands. And yeah, I always take into account the guy's budget. I don't want to suggest going somewhere where he may not be able to afford it. And so I'm always careful about that, although I screwed myself one time. Not like that. Someone had asked me out for Valentine's, and I picked this expensive restaurant. I don't know why I did that. And then a few days before Valentine's, he's like, well, things are going bad at work. And so I thought he was going to cancel going out with me on Valentine's. So instead of waiting to hear what he had to say, I jumped in. I'm like, it's okay. I'll pay for dinner. A decision I came to regret because I should have just listened and said, okay, well, let's do something else, right? So we go for dinner on Valentine's at this expensive restaurant, and the bill was, I believe with the tip, $170. I was like, damn. And we did not have alcohol. I didn't know. I did not know it was going to be that much. But you know what? It's a good thing he didn't pay for it. Well, he wouldn't have been able to pay for it. He would have died at the dinner table. So now I'm always careful to make sure that I don't pick some wacky restaurant if someone can't afford it. Wow, $170. I'm still paying for it. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. The next one is no drama. You are in the drama-free zone. She won't call you or text you 20 times a day. She won't have a temper tantrum or cry easily. She won't ask, why didn't you call? Where were you? Where's this going? It's going nowhere fast, sister. Because again, we learn that that drama doesn't work. That's basically why. Drama doesn't work, and we're too tired for drama. It's like we don't have time for all that. Of course, being Italian, I was into drama. Not that much, just a little drama here and there. Italians are known for throwing things. Throwing plates. I threw my shoe at someone once, but that's because, that's how I grew up. My mother would throw her shoe at me. I remember a few times. But I kind of had a reason to, but not really. I mean, there's really no reason to throw a shoe, but it was partially my fault because I was dating this guy. It had been about 10 months, and I wanted to see him, so I went to his house without asking first, and I just waited for him like a retard. And he shows up with his ex-girlfriend and their daughter. So, of course, I got angry, and I started, rah, 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 rah. And we were in a room where he had paintings up because he used to paint. And I threw my shoe, and I was aiming for him, but I hit a painting. And he's like, oh, you're trying to destroy my artwork. I'm like, no, I'm trying to hit you. But I hit the artwork instead. So, of course, that's something I would never do. I would, of course, never go wait for someone at their home without them expecting me. And I would, even if I found myself in that situation where someone showed up with an ex or something, I wouldn't be throwing shoes or anything. So older women, they're past the drama. They're not going to call. They're not going to text you. Oh, and may I say something about the texting? Yes, I can. It's my show. Cool it with the text messaging with the older women, okay? You know what? We didn't grow up with it, and we're not really into it that much. It's convenient, sure, at certain times, but I call it the evil. What do I call it? I don't know. It's evil. Because it's so impersonal. It really allows you to keep someone at arm's length. And I know that for at least guys in their 20s, that's just what they do. I'm going to text. Well, I really you know what I do actually? I really keep it to a minimum because I don't give people my cell number, and therefore they can't text me. Hey, I solved the problem. I still have a landline, one of the few people that do, and so I give people the landline, and then I simply forward that to my cell phone. Isn't that genius? And so I tell people, this is a landline, therefore you can't text. I believe I have a call, so hold on. Hello?
Hi, this is Todd Merriman.
Hey, Todd, it's Lucia. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I hope I didn't interrupt.
Well, of course you interrupted, but that's okay. I was waiting for your call.
I know you're in the middle of
My list.
your top 10 reasons, which I've been enjoying.
Well, thank you. Yeah, well, we need to take a little break from the reasons and talk to you, and then I'll continue on with my reasons.
Okay.
Okay, so as I said before, you are the Executive Vice President and Managing Editor of UrbanCougar.com.
Yes, that's a self-titled position.
Congratulations. Sounds very important.
Thank you.
And I know that, I was your Urban Cougar of the Month for December 2005.
Absolutely, and you can refer to yourself as a Miss Urban Cougar if you like.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I've been in my bio, I think I put Miss Urban Cougar. So I go on all these shows, and that's the first thing they want to know about. Well, what's this Miss Urban Cougar? How did you get to be Miss Urban Cougar? I mean, they thought there was like a whole competition and I had to do something. I'm like, well, I kind of sheepishly shy away from answering the question directly. I'm like, well, I just sent in my pictures and that was it. No big deal. But
right.
Yeah, but I think it's great that you have that Urban Cougar of the Month.
Thank you. It's been a lot of fun, and it's been a pretty good success thus far, and we hope it continues to grow and get better and better.
Absolutely. So how did you, I know you started the website in 2004. How did you get the idea for it?
That's a question.
Do you have the answer?
How it actually started is I think a little bit of a mystery, to be completely honest.
Uh-huh.
The three of us, I have two partners, and we've always enjoyed older women, and I think they got the idea originally, mm-hmm. and I got involved sort of almost by happenstance. I was at the time writing a blog on the television show The O.C.
Oh.
I grew up in Newport Beach, California, mm-hmm. and that show is basically, about where I grew up.
Right.
And so I wrote sort of a tongue-in-cheek look at that show, and one of the characters was a character named Julie Cooper, who I referred to as a cougar, and they read it and emailed me and said, "You're familiar with what cougars are?" And I said, "Yeah, I thought everybody was." And apparently that wasn't the case. Uh-huh. And they asked me if I would help, and I ended up writing the majority of the content on the site and continued to be involved. And we're in the process of really redoing it now, so we're pretty excited about things.
Yeah. When do you think the new site is going to be ready?
We're shooting for August, although, web development is always a little bit of a
tell me about it.
Moving target. But we're hoping that it will be up in sort of beginning of August or middle of August. And right now it's a pretty static website, and
mm-hmm.
There's a lot of fun content on there, but we really wanted it to be more interactive and a lot more fun for our audience to mm-hmm. get involved and be able to comment on things and submit things more easily, and
right.
And so that's what we're shooting for.
Yeah, and then of course I'm going to have my column on there, and I'll be answering people's questions when they write in to Urban Cougar.
That's right. We're very excited about that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I can't wait. So I know that you get contacted by a lot of media, because I actually found out about your site back in 2005 when I was on Tyra, and I think they had contacted you for information or something.
Yeah, it's funny. Our we were sort of, I guess sort of first movers in the, the quote unquote cougar phenomenon.
Uh-huh.
And our site really got a lot of traction really quickly and continues to really kind of astound us in its popularity. Mm-hmm. And we've gotten, we've been on countless radio programs, featured in Maxim and on, let's see, I think it was Primetime Live.
Wow.
Television show. Tyra Banks, as you said.
Yep.
The Donnie Deutsch show. I mean, it's been pretty incredible.
Yeah. You're like the go-to person for the cougar phenomenon.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. It was that was not our initial plan, but we're happy to be that source for sure.
Well, what was the initial reaction when you first put up the site?
I think it was, it was sort of a mixture, and that's actually been the most interesting thing about the last few years. Is at first it was, seen as more funny than anything else, and I think probably taken by some as derogatory. I think that's sort of the initial reaction amongst women, was that this was somehow a bad thing, that being a cougar was somehow you were some kind of evil predator.
Yeah.
And I think that was never really the case, and that's not how we ever perceived it, and I don't think that's how young men perceive it.
Yeah.
But what's been, I think, the greatest thing about the last couple of years is how women have really sort of embraced it as a title of empowerment, and really made the term their own, to the point where it's initial kind of idea of older women who date younger men, as it's moved beyond that to a lot of the kinds of things that you were talking about in your list, the confidence, the sophistication.
Yeah, in fact,
the maturity that you don't see amongst young women whose role models today are like
Britney
Paris
Spears.
Hilton.
Right. And also it's like I'm almost looking at it more as an exclusive club. It's like not everyone, just because you're older doesn't mean you're a cougar. It's like you have to have certain characteristics to be a cougar. You have to be hot, you have to be in shape, you have to be sophisticated.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You don't accept just anybody.
It is
club.
Yeah, you can't. It's not like I know that the term the sort of male counterpart that that's always brought up is the sugar daddy, which I don't think. No, to your point, I don't think it's a one-to-one relationship.
Not at all. No.
Because there's a lot of quote unquote sugar daddies who aren't that sophisticated and aren't that good looking, and but they. There appears to be enough, young women who are willing to overlook those things and get into those interfacial relationships that you were talking about.
Very interfacial.
And I don't think that that's the case. With a cougar, it's more, there is a certain style and sophistication, really sort of an elegance and glamour,
right.
That. Bringing it into pop culture terms kind of harkens back to kind of the old world glamour of Hollywood, rather than what there is today. We feel like, there's the mature, sophisticated woman is a really neglected market in terms of media attention. The roles that women get in movies are pretty weak for the most part. The media just is fascinated by the girls from the hills and what have you.
Right. But it's slowly turning around.
What's that?
It's now turning around. Everyone's becoming interested in cougars, especially with all these celebrities jumping on the bandwagon and dating younger guys.
Absolutely, and that's a great thing to see. You're finally seeing women who are in their 40s and 50s, which used to be sadly a the wall for
right over the hill, so to speak.
You're over the hill at that point, and that's obviously not the case. And it's great to see Mariah Carey out there and
Jennifer Aniston.
Jennifer Aniston, as you mentioned earlier today.
Yeah. And everybody else.
Taking it, being the sort of star that they are.
I was on a show recently, and someone asked me on the show, and then they cut this part out of the show. They're like, well, don't you think that the young girls could say to the older women, well, you've already lived, and I cut him off because I knew where he was going. He was like saying, well, you already lived, so you need to step out of the way now. And so so my cougar claws came out, and I go, oh, so now we're just supposed to die?
Right.
Because that's
Yeah,
almost,
exactly. Like
that's the attitude. It's
you've
like,
been used up.
Yeah,
Right.
you
like
had
you're done now.
right. You had your chance, so get out of the way. It's like, I don't think so. We're taking over.
Right. Exactly. And you know that there's a and you know, again, to that sort of confidence standpoint, you know, I think there are going to be a lot of younger women that are threatened by that.
Mm-hmm.
There are also, you know, you mentioned earlier that you were always sort of confident and had that. And, you know, it's sort of our belief that age really isn't ultimately a defining characteristic
No, not at all.
you know, in what it means to be a cougar. It's an attitude, you know, I think more than anything else. And there's lots of younger women who, you know, have the sort of seeds of that already.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we refer to them as cougars in training, as
Right.
it were.
Pumas.
And, you know, but that's not something you just sort of develop.
No, you don't just become
Like all of a
confident.
sudden.
Right. You
You
turn
know, it's
40
something
and
that you grow into.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I haven't finished this list yet, but after putting this list together, I'm like, wow, it's like someone reading this or hearing me go through this list, they're going to think, well, damn, why should I date a younger woman when all these...
Yeah, no, it's a great point. I mean, I listened to, you know, the first couple, and the first four I was able to listen to, and you know, the sex and the money ones are sort of obvious ones, you know, and
Sure.
that, at least in terms of what people, you know, point to.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, it's really that first one ultimately that I think is, you know, and that, you know, which is the confidence, which is, you know, as you said, important in any
Relationship.
And that's what, I mean, everyone is drawn towards that. And you know, you recognize that so much of, you know, it's sad that, you know, so many of the role models that younger women have today, and at least I mean, I use that term loosely, role models.
Right. Bad role models.
Yeah, they're these, you know, sort of reality type stars. I mean, reality in quotes. You know, people like Paris Hilton and these, you know, Heidi Montags and what have you from The Hills. And,
right.
you know, they're attention grabbers.
Yeah, and they have nothing to
And
offer.
that's an insecurity thing. You know,
Right.
that's not confidence.
Nope.
That's
The opposite.
trying to do as much as I can to get attention, and that ultimately isn't a sign of confidence, in my opinion.
Right.
And you know, so it's a certain, like, look at me vanity quality. That's not like an internalized confidence that older women, you know, tend to exude.
Exactly. So let me ask you about the Urban Cougar of the Month. Do you find more women are submitting their pictures now that your site is becoming more and more popular?
It has been. I mean, we recently sort of started a MySpace page,
right?
Because it's a little bit easier to kind of network, I guess, social network in that way. And I've just been amazed by, you know, the kind of the excitement and the enthusiasm that women have shown in it. And, you know, every one of our comments is like, you know, proud to be a cougar, you know, multiple exclamation points kind of thing. And, so we've definitely seen a rise in the interest. And I think ultimately when the new site gets up and all the new content is there, it will only become more so.
That's great. Well, I have to unfortunately say goodbye because I got to finish the cougar list.
I understand. It's great.
So the site is urbancougar.com, and then what is the MySpace page?
Okay, so it's www.myspace.com /Urban Cougars Rule.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't get Urban Cougars for some reason.
Oh.
Somebody stole it. That's another thing, is that the name has become so popular that, you know, there's a lot of imitators out there.
Right.
So
okay, so urbancougarsrule.com.
Yeah. So
great. Okay, well,
that's what we could do.
Thank you so much for calling in. And
thank you. Look forward to working with you here in the near future.
Yeah, I can't wait for the new site to come up, and continue listening so you can hear the rest of the reasons.
Will do. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Todd. Bye.
Thanks. Take care.
Bye. All right. I need to hurry up here because time is passing. All right, on to number 5, life experience. She's been around in a good way, and I guess sometimes in a bad way. She's socially and sexually savvy, SSS. You will become a man and a better lover as a result of being with her. That's right. She'll teach you things you didn't know. I mean, when I was in my 20s, I dated older men, and they taught me actually about having class and sophistication and how to behave, and that became a part of who I am today. So you're going to benefit from all of her life experience, and that's not a bad thing, right? The next one is she's more interesting. Well, why? Because she's lived, traveled, experienced life. She has a lot to talk about. Conversation will never be dull. That's true. I mean, I always find myself talking about stories, because I lived in Europe, I was in the Army, I did this, I did that. So I have all kinds of stories. Someone mentions a topic, and I always have something to say about it. In fact, I have to stop myself, because otherwise I'll constantly be interrupting people going, oh, yeah, I know him, or yeah, I did this, I did that. Yeah, I've done everything. And, most older women, they have done a lot just because they've lived longer, so they have a lot to talk about. And, of course, makes it more interesting. Okay, the next one is no pressure. She's generally not interested in having children or getting married. She's into having fun and going with the flow instead of trying to get a commitment. So if she's already been married, if she's already had children, most of the time she probably doesn't want to necessarily do that again. She may want a long-term relationship, but it doesn't have to be marriage, and a lot of the time she doesn't want to have children anymore. So that takes the pressure off you, because again, younger women, I want a baby, I want to have a baby, I want to get pregnant. And you may not be ready. And so by dating an older woman, you're not going to have that pressure. The next one is she's responsible. She's rarely flaky. She's not into wasting her time or yours, because at a certain point you really start to realize the value of time, and you really don't want to waste it because it's a non-renewable resource. Once it's gone, it's gone. So why waste it doing things that are a waste of time, or that you're not happy about, or they're not going to add to your life? And so as I get older, I find myself being very protective of my time, because I just... and I'm not even like in my 70s yet, where I'll really be protective. But I just don't want to waste time. Life is too precious. It's a gift, and if it's not going to add to my life, I'm not gonna do it. So she's not into games. You can count on her to follow through and keep her word. We're about being responsible and saying what we mean, meaning what we say. Now, I say she's not into games. True. However, pause, comma. We do know how to, quote unquote, play the game if we have to. Of course, in the beginning, when you first meet someone, it is a game. You can't just put your cards on the table, because that's just not the way the human psyche works. If you put your cards on the table right away, the other person will run. And so you do have to play this little cat and mouse dance, which is fine, but it's not going to be childish games, let's put it that way. It's not going to be games to test you. I mean, we pretty much have you sussed out. We've dealt with enough guys that we can pretty much size you up pretty fast, see where you're coming from. So she's just easier to deal with because she's more responsible. She's going to show up. If she says she's going to show up, or she's going to call, whatever. Okay, the next one is understanding. She understands men. She understands your need to win, your need to feel like a hero, your need to feel appreciated, your need to occasionally withdraw. Yes, that is how men are. And by that time, she's learned how to deal with men, how to leave them alone if they're watching sports. When they walk in the door, just leave them alone. Don't start talking about your day. We've learned how they work. And so we're easier to get along with, because if you don't want to talk to us, if you need to concentrate on other things, we're not going to freak out and go, oh, you don't love me anymore. If you don't call for a few days, we're not going to freak out, because, we know you need your time away to go in your cave. Okay. Sometimes we have our cave too, All right. And the last one is she's the total package. She has her act together mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, and sexually. She's the total package, right? She's had a lot of time to work on herself, and now she's finally got it together. So after hearing these 10 reasons to date an older woman, confidence, sex, money, no drama, life experience, more interesting, no pressure, responsible, understanding, and the total package, why would you want to date a younger woman? Right? Older women rule. Cougars rule. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I'd like to remind you that my website is theartoflove.net. And remember, love inspires, empowers, uplifts, and enlightens.
You're listening to The Art of Love with your host, Lucia, right here on LA Talk Radio.